Dear students, welcome to lecture 5 of week 6, wherein we have been talking about risk and quality in export orders. Today, we are going to understand some practical implications related to risk and quality in export orders. In order to understand the practical application of the theories and issues which we have learned in week 6 up till now, we are going to take some case study on export order management. Let us begin the journey. Let us go through the contents of today's discussion. We will start with some introduction and learning objectives of today's session, followed by overview of export order management. After that, we will start discussing different case studies on different scenarios. The first case study will focus on efficient order execution. After that, the second case study will focus on delay and delivery risk. In each case study, we will try to find out the problems and the possible solutions. The third case study will focus on documentation errors and letter of credit discrepancy. After that, we will move to the case study 4, where we will talk about quality rejection and buyer loss through a scenario, followed by case study 5, where we'll try to see credit risk and ECGC claim scenarios. Subsequently, in the last case study, that is case study 6, we will try to understand the compliance as market advantage. After that, we will discuss the cross-case insights and all the lessons which we will learn through all the 6 case studies, and also the different risk mitigation strategies to be adopted, and finally we will conclude our discussion. Dear students, export order management integrates planning, coordination, and control across all trade stages. Thus, all stages of the trades are very important, and that is why we are going to take certain case studies to understand all these stages through scenarios. The real world experiences provide deeper insight into how to exporters manage all the things and how they can navigate uncertainty and risk. The case studies which we are going to take will demonstrate how documentation accuracy, financial prudence, and quality control influence the outcomes of the exports. Finally, today's lecture will apply the theoretical frameworks which we have learned in earlier lectures to practical trade situations, emphasizing decision making, problem solving, and process learning. Just before starting the case studies, a brief overview and recapitulation is important. Export order management involves coordination among buyer, supplier, bank, transporter, and certifying bodies. Not only this, the key phases of order includes order itself, confirmation of the order, followed by production, then inspection of the finished goods, documentation, shipment, and finally the payment realization. It is to be noted that efficient management minimizes delays, ensures compliance, and enhances trust. We will be taking some case studies that will illustrate these linkages through real outcomes. Let us now take the first case study, efficient order execution. The context is a garment exporter from Tirupur handling bulk order from European Union buyer. What are the different issues? Early raw material procurement and parallel documentation preparation is required so that hurry should not be there. Also, the Tirupur garment exporter should have real-time monitoring of the production and its allied processes through enterprise resource planning and logistics tracking. Third, to be efficient, the exporter should have internal quality checks aligned with buyer specification. What is going to be the outcome? The outcome will be on time delivery because of all these preparations. Zero rejections will be there by the EU buyer, as well as there is possibility of repeat contracts from the European Union buyer. What is the learning which we can derive from this case scenario? Integrated planning through different stages of the production ensures reliability and buyer satisfaction. Let us move to the second case study. It is about delay and delivery risk. The scenario or the context is an handicraft exporter has missed shipment due to port congestion, that is port traffic, and lack of backup transport, means no other alternative transport facility. Thus, because of these two problems, the handicraft exporter has missed the shipment. Now, what will happen? Buyer will impose late delivery penalty under the contract. The export contract mentions that if delivery will not be in time, then there will be imposition of some penalty. Number two, exporter will face additional storage and freight cost because now this particular cargo will come back to the company or will have to stay at the port. Wherever it is, there is a holding cost of that particular cargo now. So this will also increase the cost of the exporter. Thus, what we can learn from this case scenario is there should be buffer time. That is, a time lag should be there, which should be within the contract. Multiple freight options means alternate options should also be explored and be ready. And risk monitoring is very important. All these are essential for timely delivery. Let us now move to case study 3. The case study 3 demonstrate documentation error and letter of credit discrepancy. The context is engineered goods exporter face letter of credit rejection due to mismatch in invoice and packing list. So one of the engineering goods exporters letter of credit has got rejected. This is the case scenario. And the reason being there is a mismatch in the details between invoice and packing list. This may be based on the quantity, maybe on the specification, maybe on the pricing. Anything can happen. Thus, because of this, what has happened? The payment has been delayed by 30 days pending rectification. Now the exporter has to rectify the mismatch between invoice and packing list, and then the engineering goods will be exported, which will take now another 30 days. Now, because of this, there is more financial strain due to block working capital because this products like engineering goods, if it would have reached to the importer within these 30 days, the payment would have realized. But now the payment has not been realized, therefore there is shortage of working capital. What we can learn from this case scenario is that double checking of the documents is very important against letter of credit terms. There should not be any hurry. Prevention and precaution should be taken that letter of credit details should not mismatch with invoice and packing list. For this, staff training and standard templates should also be used because they can prevent the costly errors. Let us now try to see another case scenario, that is case study 4, where we can understand the quality rejection and buyer loss. What is the context and the scenario? An agro, that is agricultural exporter's shipment has been rejected in European Union due to pesticide residue above permissible limits. Now, this will come under the pesticide requirement, pesticide contents, which is allowed under the international standards and conventions. Whatever is the European standard and conventions, according to this, the exporter shipment has been rejected. What will happen because of this? There will be financial loss as well as damage to the brand reputation. Now, every time this agricultural exporter sends goods to European Union, there will be extra inspection and suspicion about the goods related to the use of pesticide. So these two major problems and disadvantages have popped in because of one thing, that is the pesticide residue has not been properly checked. What is the learning objective? Pre-export testing is very important. In addition to it, the supplier control and certification, like in this scenario, pesticide scenario, the HACCP and ISO 22000 are valid. So maybe this certification has not been included, thus there is this crisis. So the proper certification, proper export testing is required in order to benefit from these kind of international standards. Thus, the quality lapses have global consequences as well as long-term consequences for the exporter. Dear students, let us now see another case scenario wherein we are going to see the credit risk and ECGC claim. Now, a buyer in Latin America defaulted due to political unrest. There was some political unrest, and the Latin American buyer, the importer, has failed to pay. It means there is no payment realization. Okay, due to political unrest. In this category, the exporter has filed claim under ECGC policy, which provides benefit to the exporter in such type of immediate losses. Now, 85% of the loss with this particular thing has been compensated. What is the learning output? That government schemes such as ECGC coverage provides essential protection against commercial and political risk. Thus, the exporter should be vigilant, should have proper knowledge and awareness about such government schemes. Let us now deal with compliance as a market advantage, and for that we are again taking a case scenario by the name case study 6. The scenario goes like this, that a ceramic tile exporter has obtained a CE certification, which is used in European Union as a compliance certification. This CE will be shown in as marking on the product. CE will be marked like we have ISI in India. Similarly, now what will be the benefit because of this CE certification? That there will be European Union safety of the product, and product is now being judged on the basis of this certification, that it will pass the performance norms in European Union, thus benefiting the exporter. Also, because of this, the exporter has been able to enter the high value retail chains with the probability of higher profit margins. What is the learning outcome of this case scenario? That all the international compliances such as ISO, CE, GMP, all these are mark enable or which are used on the packaging and the labeling, and this is not a cost burden because it gives advantages of entering new and high valued markets. Let us now try to see the cross case insights and lessons. Now we have discussed several case scenarios, and we all can understand that in all these case scenario, one thing is common, that whether the exporter is vigilant, is aware about the different policies which are being run about the different compliance and documentation issues which are necessary. If the exporter is quite vigilant and active before exporting, before shipment of the product, then there can be immense benefit and most of the risks can be minimized in exporting process. Also, the case studies tells us that in order to enter high valued markets, new markets or markets that prevail in the global scenario, there is a requirement to properly comply with these international standards as well as have certification that are necessary for promoting the evidence that the products are safe and of good quality. Thus, one of the another lessons which we have learned with this case study is that success of exporter or exporting process depends on synchronization of production, quality, finance and documentation. Means all four are important. We cannot isolate any one function. If we are focusing too much on quality but we lack in documentation, then also it will have the same negative consequences. If we focus on documentation but we ignore finance, then there will be problem of working capital and the future exporting cycles will be negatively affected. Thus, there is a requirement to focus on all these issues at the same time and together. Then the summation of these focuses results into an efficient exporting method and system. Another lesson which we have learned through these case studies and scenarios is that most failures arise from delay, data mismatch, or compliance gaps. We have seen in one scenario it was delay of shipment due to the traffic in the ports. In second scenario, we have seen that there was mismatch between the invoice data and the packing list. In another, we have seen that there was compliance issue with respect to the level of pesticides in agricultural products. All these are examples of failures. And these small failures lead to big failures that result in huge losses to the exporter as well as to the reputation of the exporter. This also diminishes the probability of exports becoming competitive in the global market or a company becoming competitive in the global market. The next important thing which we have learned through these case scenarios is that exporters with institutional linkages like linkages with banks, financial institution, export promotion council, ECGC, EIC, they can manage crisis effectively and at the required time. The next important point which we have learned through these case scenarios is that continuous learning and technology adoption ensures resilience for exporters. It is very important that exporters should focus on continuous learning and adoption of new technologies so that more better way of exporting can be explored. Dear students, let us now focus on the key risk mitigation strategies. The first important strategy is to confirm buyer credential by using secured method payments which are related to ending to letter of credit. The second mitigation strategy is to adopt end-to-end digital monitoring of orders. The third key risk mitigation strategy is to ensure pre-shipment inspection and certification documentation, which is also very important. The fourth key risk management strategy is to hedge foreign exchange exposure. And the fifth key strategy is to build contingency plans for logistics and supplier disruptions. Dear students, let us now try to conclude whatever we discussed and learned through different case studies today. All the case scenarios and studies which we have discussed highlight the complexity and interdependence of export operations. Also, the effective management minimizes risks and ensures global competitiveness. In addition to this, we have also learned that institutional support and compliance framework strengthen the exporter's confidence. And finally, it will be justified to conclude that timeliness, accuracy, and proactive planning define successful export order management. Dear students, thank you very much for being there with me in this session.